I was looking at the paper this morning, got it with my coffee for the show, and there's a sports page right here, and the sports page, of course, is Cam Ward.
You did the old school local news, pick up the newspaper. It's like a Sal Palantonio special.
It's amazing. And there's the cartoons on the back.
Nothing better than a cup of coffee and a newspaper. Sit in the desert with my C-letter mug. It doesn't get any better. Welcome to Scoop City. I'm the athletic senior NFL insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the NFL.
The early bird gets its worm.
A lot of birds.
Phrase, right?
A lot of birds out here.
All right, so you're not at home in San Diego. Where are you at?
We are in the desert, Palm Springs area, La Quinta, all that stuff. I'm trying to one-up my background, although Weber Grill, shout out, you're going to sponsor us, you don't know that, but from yours at the owners meeting. So I got palm trees behind. We're going to play golf right after this, a little getaway from the kids.
Yeah, I like this idea of the offseason that you and I are changing up the backgrounds. That means we're participating in maybe something fun and not just sitting in our houses.
No doubt. It was a long season. Needed this golf game for sure.
It was. Oh, how is your golf game real quick? It can't be that good.
First of all, I'm in my in-laws' house. Like, they have a house here, and they got all their grandkids or like in-laws C. So I got like Chase, Hillary's got an H. All the other kids.
That's nice.
So I'm drinking off this. The golf game's good. I shot an 84 yesterday with 4 double bogeys. So if I can not lose balls off tees, I had a couple birdies. So it's not bad, but I haven't registered a lot of rounds. So 84 is not bad.
I was gonna say 84. I know your schedule. You don't play much. You certainly won't be qualifying for the Masters this week, but
I
not
got
bad,
my golf
friend.
polo on. Okay, so I'm all in.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this version of you. More of golf Chase than anything else. But
So
we're
true.
gonna have serious Chase soon here, right? Because we're just over 2 weeks away from the first round of the draft. Right now, teams they're just meeting, having conversations, continuing to discuss, identifying the fit, the roles, the overall makeup of the prospects. And I know last show we were talking a lot about who controls the draft, right? Like we were saying, like the Browns have a lot of it. But I think the most interesting part of this draft are looking at the teams that have the flexibility, right? That they're the ones with the picks. Like look at the 49ers. Right, they lead with 12 picks, so this is really a good chance for them, right, to just restock with some cost-friendly contracts, some young guys. Baltimore's got 11. The Ravens got 11 picks. I know.
They're gonna move up.
Buffalo 10. So then you've got these teams with just very little wiggle room, like poor Minnesota 4. Like that's not a lot.
They're trading back. They got to get more than 4. You got to get more than 4 players.
Yeah, you're gonna try to make some moves there because they're gonna need it. So all of this is happening while teams are there. It's crunch time, really. It is, and when you reach out to these teams and you're trying to get some intel, most of them are responding back in meetings. That's the truth of it because they are. But you also have practice. I know you don't want to talk about practice, but we've got phase 1 of OTAs for first-year head coaches going down.
It's crazy. And I didn't even know that happened because like I've spent 15 years of my career based on this date and I'm 2 years out and you told me they start them. It's like, I have no idea.
It feels so early, even though it's exactly what it should be. We just interviewed Saquon Barkley on the field after the Super Bowl. And here we are, phase 1. It moves fast here. So let's get right to it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league.
All right, Diana, before we get into OTAs, let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. The Titans canceled their visit with him. All signs point to Cam Ward at 1.
I saw your tweet the second that happened. It was like Jim Wyatt from Tennessee. He writes for the Titans homepage, reports that, and immediately I see you on Twitter like, well, it's Cam Ward. It's done. The thing is, I've learned this about you. When you've spent as many years in football as you have, you're so great at just cutting through the fat and telling me what's really happening.
Yeah.
Because that's the truth, right? So, look, do I think that the Titans have collectively sat in a room and said, okay, we're doing it. It's Cam Ward. I don't. I still think they're finishing up some final things here, knowing that there's going to be teams, trying to call it a move up. And I think they're smart to listen, and they should. But in terms of having to make a pick today, like right now, if they were going to make their choice, it's going to be Cam Ward.
It's the worst kept secret. Like, I actually applaud. You don't see this a lot, But I applaud Dion's camp and Shedeur's camp to say, hey, you know what? We're not going number one. Take the pressure off Shedeur. Take him out of this conversation. Let's focus on, because he's already such a polarizing prospect off the field. Like, let's just focus on your pro day. Like, there's no need to meet when clearly Shedeur was never in the conversation for the number one pick.
Yeah, how much do you think you used the word polarizing, and I was having a conversation with a general manager this morning actually about that word polarizing.
Yeah.
And he he was pushing back a little bit. Like he's like, I wouldn't call him polarizing.
Oh,
I just think there's a bit of a show around him. And that's just part of the process. And if you're willing to sign up for that, and some teams would be, then that's really that's what's made him so interesting and perhaps maybe a little controversial because it's just not the classic quarterback. Like, how do you see it as a former quarterback with all
yeah.
the attention he's getting?
So I think just today's day and age of kids growing up, right? They're growing up in the social media age. They're growing up where they're millionaires before they hit the NFL, the NIL, all this stuff has completely changed how these kids probably view themselves. And Shedeur is one of them. Utmost confidence, respect them. You got to be almost cocky to play quarterback in the NFL. I like that part of it. I don't know if the decision makers have gotten to that point where they're really comfortable with such a confident and cocky person, regardless of what happens. I think it's one of those where we really haven't seen a process. I would definitely call him polarizing though, like because we really haven't seen a prospect like have cameras follow him around at all times. And everything you see from Deion Sanders Jr., his other son, post this on social media and all this stuff with Colorado. I think it's genius what Deion's doing, but it's like, at what point does maybe some decision makers say, hey, that's a little too much for me. We don't want these cameras in this locker room. You can do all this stuff you want outside. We just really haven't seen anyone like that. Not to say that, success on the field isn't there, but I think that's probably what some of these older decision makers are thinking like, I don't know if they're going to not draft them because of it, but it's definitely a conversation in their building because then you get Deion too. So wherever Shedeur ends up, you're getting Deion, whether you like it or not. And yeah, Deion's got to be the coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, but Deion's going to be around. Deion's going to be in his son's ear, right, wrong, or indifferent. So to me, it's a polarizing situation.
I wonder if these organizations that have assistant coaches or people in their building that come from the college world recently have some benefit into sort of just how it's been culturally coaching these kids. Like for example, Chip Kelly in Vegas right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
How much is he able to contribute to the conversation in those meetings about, all right, this is where these guys are coming from. This is how it works. This is what I hated. Because I'm gonna guess he didn't love some of it. But when you look at the teams, and I bring up the Raiders purposely because I'm interested to see, we're going to talk about this for the next, 4, 5 episodes here of what we think the Browns and Giants are going to do, because there was a time where I felt really strongly that the Giants wanted Shedeur as the quarterback, as their top pick. And then I was getting a sense that was shifting a little bit. And now you see Brian Dable show up to Shedeur's workout in Colorado, something that wasn't expected. So it's like, did it shift back? You've got 2 veteran quarterbacks on this roster and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston making what, 15, 16 million bucks,
Yep.
basically
Making Daniel
the
Jones's
equal.
salary combined.
It's exactly. So, it's essentially a bridge quarterback. It's like one bridge quarterback, right? Like that's
Yeah,
how.
no doubt.
So I don't really think that means that they're not going to draft a quarterback. I just think now the draft becomes super interesting with what the Giants are going to do if they decide to go best player Val. They're meeting with Abdul Carter on Thursday at the facility. Dayball had
Oh,
breakfast with him at Penn State on Monday morning. So it's like, are they going to go with Shedeur knowing at one point they thought he was the best quarterback in this draft, or are they going to go best player memo?
yeah. I mean, is the owner going to let him draft a quarterback? That's the Brian Daboll, Joe Shane,
And
hot seat. If they draft a quarterback and it doesn't work out, you risk developing, Shedeur the wrong way because he has a new head coach. He has a new GM coming in next year if they don't make the playoffs. And then is Russell Wilson just going to go quietly into the night if Shedeur halfway through the season is like, I'm playing? Like what's that situation going to be like? You got Jameis already in there as well in the mix. It just seems like they're trying to do anything and everything, throwing stuff at a wall to find a quarterback. I think 3's too rich for a quarterback. I would like for them, if someone's available in the late first round, to trade back up in, takes the pressure off everything. Shedeur, I've heard anywhere from 3 to out of the first round. And it just is how do you view Shedeur? And that's, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but it's like when you're drafting a quarterback in this draft, most teams get it wrong in the first round. Let's just, more wrong than right. Most teams will project what Shedeur can be. And then that's the evaluation, not really like what he did at Jackson State, not what he did at Colorado. That's all great. You can't even evaluate half of his throws because his offensive line's so bad. But can we project to what he's going to be? That's what's going to be interesting to see the team. And the funny thing is, it only takes one team. One team could love you and take you as high as 9 as the New Orleans Saints, right? Or one team, all 31 others could hate you, and it doesn't matter because one team drafted you.
Right? It's like you wonder about Pittsburgh. If Shedeur is still there, what if he slides, like a Will Levis slide? Let's just say the Browns and the Giants decide to go best player avail, or perhaps they trade out, right? And what does that mean for Pittsburgh? If everything goes as planned, as the Steelers believe that Aaron Rodgers will eventually sign with them, again, it's not final, it's not done yet, we do not know. But let's give the situation the benefit of the doubt here that, the Steelers aren't going to mess around with this thing if they didn't feel that good about it.
Yeah.
I still think they're going to be open to going for a quarterback, even if they are able to get Aaron Rodgers, because I'm curious to see what this contract's going to look like. How much longer does Aaron Rodgers want to play for? Is this just a one-year deal? Is he looking for more? Are the Pittsburgh Steelers willing to do more than 1 year? So
that's
I think,
fascinating. I mean, like,
right?
truly. I think if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21, you have to take a quarterback. Like, you have to. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts
because they don't have a future quarterback.
They don't have a future
on their
quarterback,
roster,
and they've struggled developing quarterbacks when Mike Tomlin's been there.
Yeah. All right. So we've got the next 2 weeks to continue to break down, and I really look forward to you just ripping through some of these quarterbacks. After we go through this segment, we're going to do that after the next break, to just go through these guys, because I want to learn as much as I can before we get to draft night. But OTAs, phase 1, today. What? This week it starts, right? So if you're a first-year head coach, you get to meet with your players, right? So you're not really doing much, right, Chase? This is just like meetings, a little bit of lifting.
Phase 1 is literally, you don't even have meetings. You literally go in, you lift for 4 weeks with the weight room people. That's it.
But you're just the strength and conditioning people, so you're just around each other, right?
To get into shape is what they say. You should already be in shape, but
look, I'm always impressed when I see star players showing up for these things. Like, I saw Stephon Diggs walking in to the Patriots facility on Twitter. I was like, all right, Diggs has showed up. He hasn't passed his physical yet, but he's going there to be part of all of it.
I think guys crave a little bit of that team aspect because they've been off for so long.
Absolutely.
Like, they've been doing their own thing.
You know who craves this? Coaches.
Yeah.
I was around all of them at the league meetings. They are so done with meeting with one another. And so many of them get juiced up by being around the guys. That's what it's about, right? So just knowing that this time is here for a lot of these teams is a good thing. So just to remind you of who's back in session, right? So you got the Bears because Ben Johnson is there. You got the Patriots because Mike Vrabel's there. You have the Jets with Aaron Glenn, the Raiders with Pete Carroll, the Cowboys with Brian Schottenheimer. You got the Jags with Liam Cohn. You have the Saints with Kellen Moore. It's so funny too, because you see these and it's not a first-year head coach as in it's their first time. It's just a first-year head coach with that team, right? Because you look at obviously Pete Carroll, he's done this thing before. But still, what a different experience. When was the last time Pete Carroll got to start an OTA, the second week of April here?
Yeah, as a new head coach. And that's the other thing too, you mentioned, but they get 2 extra weeks. So this is why the first-time head coaches of their team, they get an extra week and a half of just sort of, hey, let's learn the offense, let's teach the offense, let me know my guys. So coaches love that, man.
So here's what I figure, and I don't want to be depressed, but I am lately, especially when I look at the stock market.
Oh,
it's so bad. It's just not good. And I'm not sure if it's going to get any better, but I don't want to hop into all that and make our listeners any more depressed. So I just thought we'd snag that idea of the stock market
Yeah.
and apply to this, right? So let's just take a quick look. Let's rip through all these teams that we just named that are starting OTAs, the phase one, and let's just do stock up, stock down
Let's do
with
it.
the changes compared to what we saw. Let's just base it off last year,
Yeah.
right? So
All right.
let's just begin with the Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson, right? So he talked at the owners' meetings about QB EPA mattering over turnover differential, which I don't
Nerd
know.
talk. I don't even know what
It,
EPA is. Expected points over average. What the hell
yeah,
does that mean?
ready? He wants Caleb to throw the ball. Like
Yeah.
that's what it says to me. Like
Yeah.
throw the ball. Like we're gonna protect you, and I want you to take some risks. That's how I heard it. But for you, stock up or stock down with Ben Johnson leading this new Chicago Bears team?
It has to be stock up. Look, we hype up the Chicago Bears every single offseason. We got Caleb Williams last year. Oh, we got Ben Johnson this year. You know, they had the Chicago Bears won the offseason last year. I forget about all that. I think that they won the most important position, and that's offensive line. So they went out, they traded for a few guys. They got some legitimate starting offensive linemen in the interior three. The center, second highest paid, I think, Dahlman in the league right now. And you go out, Joe Tooney, you go out, you trade for the guy from the Rams, and you are able to solidify the inside of the pocket for Caleb Williams. That's what I'm looking at. Caleb took a lot of sacks last year. Now, they weren't all on him. He has to learn how to get rid of the ball. And I think that's what Ben Johnson's doing. More quick game, more everything like that. And when that happens, okay, you're able to really push the envelope offensively. You get the short game going. You get the run game going. Ben Johnson, really into analytics, love all that stuff. I think the stock is up, and it's way up for them. I know they play in a really tough division, but I like it.
He built this team like Detroit. Okay. And I've said this the whole time. He wants to build it like Detroit so he can play call like he did in Detroit. At the end of the day, I know he's HC right now. He's going to have that little play caller in him. He's going to have that little voice where he's going to want to be able to open that sucker up and do all the things he wants to do, which is why when they were signing and trading for all those offensive linemen, we were laughing on the show. Like, well, we know their plan. We know exactly what they're doing. We know exactly what they meant about.
Yep.
All right, so I'm with you on stock up. All right, how about the New England Patriots? Spent buckets and buckets of money coming off a disastrous season last year. So much change in New England. So I think there's a couple questions that need to be answered about New England, starting with just their identity, right? We think we know what they're going to be just based on the personality of their head coach, but can it be implemented, right? It's one thing to say you're going to be something, but can you get all of these guys rallied behind you with a young quarterback?
You still need good players, and that's the.
Need it.
I think the stock's up because look, I love Mike Vrabel, and I love what he's about. I love the culture that he brings. They got a quarterback that, like, to me, we talked about this a lot, but like right when like Black Monday was happening, all these head coaches were getting fired, and Vrabel was the first one to get. He's got the quarterback of all these teams of first-year head coaches, right? Caleb Williams for sure, but I love Drake May, and I think that Stephon Diggs going in there. I think just automatically Vrabel comes in and he brings you 5 more wins. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 games. To me, that's stock up because they were so bad last year. I thought they should have played the rookie from the start. I'm not sure what that whole situation with Jacoby Brissett was and all this. They should have played it. And I like if you have a head coach and you have a quarterback, which, you know, Drake May, we think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be really good, but that's what we sort of said last year with D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud. Hey, a quarterback and a head coach can completely change your franchise around. The Patriots have that situation. They need another receiver in the draft high. I don't know if you're going to take him at 4. You got to draft a guy, though, to help out your quarterback.
Here's what I see when I see New England, especially spending some time around them at the owners meeting. I see order now. We talked earlier in the show about the incredible sports weekend. Actually, I don't think we talked about that in the show, but before we started recording, we were just talking about how much fun it was to watch Ovi break the record and the UConn women. And I was listening to Gino Auriemma talk about preparation, about the types of practices he has. And I used to cover them. So these practices were crazy intense.
Oh, I bet.
And his thought process is, you're never going to be able to fully replicate game speed and a national championship, but at least you're putting in the work that even if it drops off a level, you're still probably better than anyone else because you're practicing at such a high level.
Yeah.
That's what I think of Mike Vrabel. those are the type of practices he has.
It's like
It's
the
all
standards that he has, right? They're like so much
correct.
higher. Yeah.
And to a point where when you are tired or you don't have the answer, you rely on some of those instincts that you've learned along the way. And I think the other underrated part of a Mike Vrabel led team, from whenever I talk to people around the league, is how smart they are.
Yeah.
Right? They're situational football, just
Situation.
smart.
Exactly. Yep.
Just they don't make stupid mistakes because they're getting coached on it constantly. And I also think it's a kind of team that values that. Whereas I've covered teams, they don't get, coaches won't get mad at certain penalties and certain clock management things that players don't know. But in terms of the education of football, I think they're getting a master's degree in New England. So
Yeah.
for
Love that.
me, it's stock up as well.
Oh,
I
nice.
just don't think this is gonna be the year they make the playoffs. I
No,
just think
no,
this
we're
is
not
a
saying
good first
playoffs.
step to
They're
the
gonna
big
win
bill.
more
No
games.
playoffs.
The
All right,
playoffs.
all
We're
right.
gonna
How,
have
how about the
playoffs.
Jets with Aaron Glenn? Right, so he's got this gritty way about him when he talks to the media. He's kind of no frills,
No
no BS.
nonsense.
I didn't even tell you this. I saw him, and I don't know him that well. And I introduced myself to him. I said, "How you doing, Coach? My name is Dianna and Russini." He's like, "You think I don't know who you are? I'm the head coach of the New York Jets. He wrote all about us."
I was about to
You know
say,
exactly what it
how
was.
did that conversation go?
It was awesome. He was just classy, and I shared some of my thoughts on the team, and
Yeah.
I told him I was really excited to see what he was going to be able to do because there's a lot of work to be done, right? So, they do have a lot of work. How do you see this New York Jets team? Stock up, stock down?
Stock up. Stock up. They won 5 games last year with Aaron Rodgers, and it was a difficult way to do it. I think it's a complete culture reset now. Say what you want about the owner. It seems like he's trying to give this, responsibility and everything with the head
He's
coach and the
giving this
GM.
regime a little
He's
bit of like, "Look, I'm
a little
stepping
bit of
out."
leeway. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what it seems like from the distance. You live up in the Northeast, so you understand this. You probably see it in the news all the time. But, I'm not saying that Justin Fields is this franchise all-encompassing quarterback. I do think if you build an offense around Justin Fields and you have the two-headed monster at running back that they have, you have a legitimate number one in Garrett Wilson, you can make some hay during this time. And I'm not saying that they're going to make the playoffs because this is not what it is. But it's stock up from 5 wins. I think they're going to win more than 5 games. I think they're defensively they're good, and I think if offensively Tanner Engström comes over from Detroit. That's the Ben Johnson tree. That's why Aaron Glenn brought him. You're going to see a lot of different stuff offensively. The most important thing that I think you're going to see offensively is you're going to see an offense built around Justin Fields. He
Yeah.
is their unquestioned starter. There's no more, oh, I got Russell Wilson looking behind my back. This is the first time in his career he's going to get an offense sort of built around him. I'm going to be interested to see how he does.
Aaron Glenn said at the owners' meeting, that he wants to unlock Justin Fields, and our Zach Rosenblatt, our Jets reporter in front of the show, was sharing that, he felt confident that Glenn can do it. I just struggle with the idea of unlock. Like, what does that mean?
Exactly what I said. I think that you can play with zero fear. And at quarterback sometimes when you have someone maybe in the media that's polarizing, because Justin Fields is polarizing. Like, people either hate him or they love him. I'm on the love him side. I can see what he could be. We've never seen it with an offense that fits him, even in Chicago. They had him under center play action. That's not him. Arthur Smith did a really good job, had him 4-2, but then he got benched. He didn't even have a chance. Like, you have to understand what Justin Fields, that run offense is going to be legit. They should be a top 10 run offense next year to take the pressure off Justin Fields. And that's what you mean by unlocking him. It's not meaning he's going to go out and just throw for 1,000 yards. It might not be the quarterback, guru type play that we want to see. Oh, look at this throw. It's so great to the field and a honey hole. No, that's not what it is. You play within the offense, but you use your legs, and he's accurate throwing the football down the field. That's what I think it means.
Yeah. It's just so wild to think of the Jets being in the position that they're in now. You know that time hop thing that your
Yeah.
Facebook does?
Uh-huh.
It had a time hop of me on set with Mike Greenberg when Aaron Rodgers was traded to the Jets, and the conversation was, will he be a good enough teammate to help rise the level of the play? Like, it's just like, oh, if we only knew that.
No.
And whatever happened there. All right, let's
funny.
move on to the Raiders. I'm so intrigued by this with Pete Carroll. They've got this gauntlet division. Um, Where will Carroll's impact be felt immediately, you think, here? Because when they signed him, we both said, all right, this guy's coming in here, clean this up.
Yeah.
Here's the standard. Here's how we're doing things.
Yeah.
This is how we run practice. Here's how we prepare for games. What do you think?
You answered the question.
Thank you.
Everything you said, like locker room, how schedules are set up. I mean, he brings so much. Like Pete Carroll brings a wealth of experience, right? And that's probably why John Spytek, Tom Brady were like, you know what? Let's go get him. Let's go get a guy. You know, we might not have the sexiest head coach out there. We might not have the hire. We might not win all these things. But you get a guy who's done it at a high level. And he can implement strategies and situations and schedules to where, hey, you know, Pete Carroll, the next 2 or 3 years, you could be the guy, and then you set the organization up for success for years to come. But it starts with the culture building. It starts with team meetings. They're shooting hoops in Seattle. Like the Raiders just didn't seem like they were having fun last year. Like, you know,
well,
and
they
how
wanted to appear that way initially, right? Like it was like, you know, especially with AP, it felt like it was right, that the intentions were good, but at the end of the day, when you're trying to manage 75 grown men athletes, um, it takes a certain type of disciplinarian, and I think that's what we learned from that experiment. And I think Mark Davis, the owner, tried to give it a chance. He tried something different. It didn't work. So I think Pete Carroll's going to have
I'm
obviously
going
no
stock
problem.
down, by the way.
You're going stock down, though. Okay, so
Look at
Gino
the division.
is there as a well, that's the problem.
One of the co-hosts of the facility, James Jones, he works for the Raiders. He does Raiders broadcasts, I think on Sundays during season. He said on the facility, he said the Raiders can make the playoffs. I said, how?
He wants a raise?
First of all, how do you get out of your division? Second of all, look at the AFC and Gino. If they're in the NFC, maybe. But I don't think Geno Smith and Pete Carroll make the playoffs. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, I don't think so this year. Do you think they take a quarterback?
No, not as early as again. They gave Geno Smith $37 million average over the next 3 years. That's below average quarterback money for one of the most accurate quarterbacks the past 2 years. So I don't think they take one.
I don't think it takes them out completely, but I'm with you. Like, I don't think that they're going to be focused on doing that. I just think they can go either way. I mean, apparently it's already done.
They need a
based on
receiver
social
3.
media. All right, let's do Cowboys. Brian Schottenheimer, who I spent some time with him at the owners meeting. Just a great human being.
He's a good dude.
I just want to start there with and his wife as well. Just the type of couple you want to hang out and have a meal with and just talk about life, and they just have great stories. But look, the story in Dallas is going to be can he get them some wins with the pressure that's going to be on him from Jerry Jones here.
Yeah.
So stock up. I know this is the hard one. I think the stock up, stock down on the Dallas Cowboys with Brian Schottenheimer calling shots.
You were looking down, but I went like a big thumbs down.
Oh, you already down me.
I think it's stock down. I think that Brian Schottenheimer is going to have some first year head coach mistakes. He's going to probably implement some things that are good as well. You look at Dak coming off injury. How does he play? Can he get him back to the second in MVP voting? And like 15 months ago, that's what Dak did. They just don't have offensively. Like, I like the 2 running backs. They look like they're going running back by committee. Javonte Williams, the other cat, and then they need a receiver. That's my thing. They need another playmaker at receiver. If they can, there's still holes though. You're not replacing a first ballot Hall of Famer and Zach Martin in the draft. Like, they always draft well. They always seem to take offensive and defensive linemen. But look at the division. You're getting worse, and the other teams, Commanders and the Eagles, they're getting better. So I think it's stock down.
Yeah, I'm with you on it. I want to give Schottenheimer credit for at least being in that system and Dak really liking him and hoping that kind of continues to grow. I just don't know what that means for the rest of the offense and the rest of the team, really. Obviously, you have the Micah Parsons stuff looming above all of this as well with his contract situation. I just think there's a lot to navigate there. That is a hard job. A job that I'm interested in seeing how he does is Liam Cohen. Duval. Gosh, by the way, another really nice guy. Like, I feel bad making fun of him when I did when I was talking to him at the owners meeting. The whole time I was looking at him, I'm thinking, he's got this like very young boy face.
Yeah.
Of like, oh gosh, we ripped you. I'm so sorry, sir. So look, can he help Trevor Lawrence to, get that Baker Mayfield type play? Like, that's what he
Resurgence,
did
yeah.
in Tampa Bay, right? Like, can he find that gear in Trevor and maybe like remind us that Trevor Lawrence was number 1 overall? Could he untap some of this? Look, he's young. They're GM, Gladstone. It's like the youngest front office and head coach
Gladstone
duo
looks like a
here.
baby.
Oh, I met him too. I was like,
But I
what?
heard nothing but amazing
Yeah.
things about him.
Quick combo with him as well. Just, yeah, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. We will see. They've got the number 5 pick in this upcoming draft. So stock up, stock down on the Jacksonville Jags with a new head coach.
Yeah, stock up. I like Liam.
Like that
I
too.
think offensively, I think that they know what the heck they're doing. Look at him with Baker, right? Like Baker's sort of resurgent story. I think Trevor Lawrence needs to prove that he's the number 1 overall pick. Liam Cohen's going to help him. He's going to give him all the tools necessary. They got to go out. They got to find some playmakers, some offensive linemen. There's holes all over that roster. They're a very talented roster. They need somebody offensively to say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. And obviously, when you pay a guy $55 million, you're going to hire an offensive head coach. The defense still got to play well. They're in a division that they could make some noise in. I mean, look, I was with the Chargers for the one and only Trevor Lawrence playoff win, and he played unbelievable the second half of that game. He's played unbelievable at spurts in his career. It's never been consistently, though. And he hasn't played consistently well. I want to see consistency from him. It's going to be interesting to see what they do offensively, though. I think they're going to be good.
I want Liam Cohen to have the last laugh. Like, you guys all made fun of me, but look at me now. And finally, your New Orleans Saints, right? So Kellen Moore is there. And I think the organization collectively has an idea that this is not going to be an easy season. Like, nobody has some crazy expectations for what the New Orleans Saints can be.
Yeah.
And I think Kellen Moore, in part of this interviewing process before he got the job, was made aware of this, of like, look, it's not going to be perfect. We're going to ride with you, though, to get you out of the muck here, right? And the NFC South collectively just kind of remains a crapshoot in general of what all these teams are doing.
You can go 500 and make the playoffs in that division.
Definitely. So are you going stock up, stock down here? Kellen Moore with Derek Carr. Can he revive him?
Come on, man. Saints are my team. Saints are my team.
I
got nothing but love there.
Teams that paid you.
Stock up. Way up. Look, I think that the division helps my stock up. They can win the division easily. Like, you win 9 games, you got a chance to win the division. It's going to be hard to do that. But during this whole process of recruiting Kellen Moore to come here, I talked to a bunch of Saints decision makers that were in the meetings and a part of different interviews of head coaches. Kellen Moore blew them away. Not only knew exactly what he was and who he is going to be offensively, but has also been in enough situations to, hey, I want to hire a really talented, experienced defensive coordinator because I don't want to have to deal with the defense. That's what they did, right? And that's sort of the situation that they're in. And the Saints put a really high premium on not only hiring the right guy, but I think they've probably made some mistakes in the past where they haven't surrounded the guy with really good coaches, really experienced coaches. And I think if you look at the New Orleans Saints staff, that's what they did there. I think Derek Carr is going to be fine in that offense. I would not be surprised if they take a quarterback at 9. It would make all the sense in the world for him. Kellen Moore, go ahead and get your guy if he's out there. Like Jackson Dart. Like, we're going to talk about him in a second. I think Jackson Dart makes a lot of sense. Just the skill set with the offensive mind of Kellen Moore, that makes a lot of sense to me. He doesn't have to play right away, or Shedeur Sanders, if he's there. They don't have to play right away. Carr can take this year, learn a year, and then take over the next year.
Yeah, I do like if you go through the coaching staff of the Saints roster, if you go to their website and you can just like make a little check next to each coach that has like 10 years experience.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, it has to be one of the most like veteran driven staffs in the league. And it makes so much sense. You know who else used to hate worrying and coaching defense? The former New Orleans Saints head coach, Sean Payton. So that makes a lot of sense that they're willing to deal with that, right? Because that turned out pretty darn good. So first-year head coaches to make playoffs in their first year. It's so interesting, right? So last year we saw Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers do it, Dan Quinn with the Commanders. We saw D'Amico Ryans do it 2 years ago. In 2022, you had 5 head coaches do it. You had Kevin O'Connell with Minnesota, Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, Brian Daboll with the Giants, gosh, they regret that. That's the year that set them up.
Yeah,
Right?
no,
Because
it
they
is.
set the expectations so high after
Yeah.
that. You had Todd Bowles with the Bucs and Doug Peterson with the Jags at that point. So you had 5 that year. Nick Sirianni did it with the Eagles in his first year and has continued to do it every
What's
year.
the over-under of these guys? There's 7. I'm gonna set the over-under as 2.5.
Oh, I will
think
take
it's under.
I'll take the under. Darn,
Yeah.
I hate agreeing with you, but I'm with you. I think they all have a little bit of a web to weave to get through this first year and to get themselves out of it.
Yeah.
So if there is a head coach of all these, like let's just say we get
Yeah.
1 full year of free babysitting if we win this. What's the one head coach, right? Isn't that alluring? Sounds great to me. Babysitters
love
are
it.
expensive.
Yeah.
So can you give me one head coach that you think will make the playoffs
Bears.
this year?
Bears. I think the Bears do.
You're going to go Ben Johnson. I
Yeah.
like it. I'm going to go Liam Cohen. Let's go.
That's a good one.
Duval.
I like that.
All right, let's just take a quick break. That was awesome to dive into everything. We're going to do a quick block when we get back. We're going to just rip through these rookie quarterbacks coming out, and I just want to do superlatives with you. Just quick, easy. Tell me who's got the highest ceiling, who's your dark horse, who's got the highest floor. We'll do all that when we come back. All right, back here in Scoop City, Chase, we know the draft is coming up. Our resident quarterback expert you are. We wanted to hand out some quarterback superlatives here. I know this isn't your favorite class, but we know there's some silver lining, right? These guys can play. It's just compared to the quarterback. Look, we were spoiled last year. The draft last year was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was just looking back at some of my notes from this time last year, too. Wild. My notebook was so juicy because it was such a quarterback heavy and a quarterback talented class, and every team had different opinions and picks. And obviously, as it all came together, I don't think anyone had Michael Penix going to the Falcons. I can tell you that.
No.
That was a tough one to see. I heard his name that day about him moving up. I didn't know it was going to be Atlanta, though. No
That was
idea.
sort of crazy. Yeah.
That stunk. Not stunk. It was, whatever, depending on how you live it.
Yeah.
Stunk from me trying to get it right.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I figured I'd get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 different categories. Highest ceiling, highest floor, dark horse Pro Bowler, biggest X factor, right? So basically the guy who might get drafted way earlier than we thought. And then who you find most intriguing, like Chase's most intriguing prospect. So let's just begin with the high ceiling. Let's be positive. Which quarterback has the highest ceiling?
So I know it's going to be a good day because we're recording this on Monday, and I'm at my in-laws' place in the desert, and it's like a 2-hour drive from San Diego, and they're one of the few people that probably still get their paper delivered. And so I was looking at the paper this morning, got it with my coffee before the show, and there's a sports page right here, and the sports page, of course, is Cam Ward, and I'm like, and they literally go in and they rank the quarterbacks. So I was like, oh, this is funny. Let me read about him. He's the one with the highest ceiling for me, because I think when you go number 1 overall to a situation, first of all, you got to have, and this is what I tell a lot of people asking, you got to have an elite physical talent that I can't coach. And that to me is throwing the football. If you take in number 1 overall and you're looking at the coaching staff, I can coach a lot of things as a quarterback, but if you're going in the top 5, top 3 picks, you have to have a physical tool that I can't coach. For me, that's Cam Ward's arm. Like, people are like, it's not, like, you ever watched the film? Like, the different arm angles that he has, the way he navigates the pocket and is able to move just an inch right or just an inch left, it sort of reminds me of a Drew Brees pocket movement. Like, you just barely move to the right. You just barely move to the left just to get into a window. And quite honestly, he's not the tallest guy ever. So you're throwing over these guys. But the way he does, and sometimes it gets almost like too arrogant with it because he just randomly drops down sideways for no reason and he's inaccurate. Like, I would just tell him, like, don't do that. Just throw it when he throws. But I think the escapability in the pocket, it's not like it was last year with Caleb Williams, but that's what I love about Cam Ward, and that's why I think he's got the highest ceiling.
Yeah, I think you're seeing what Brian Callahan's saying. They're looking at that skill set, that innate ability, that God-given talent, the rawness of it. I'm also looking at the rawness of your sports reporter ability here. You did the old school local news, pick up the newspaper. It's like a Sal Palantonio special.
It's amazing.
show
And there's the cartoons on the back.
oh my god. I didn't
It's
even know they
amazing.
made comics anymore. Is it
Oh, yeah.
comics?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
No, it's cartoon. Yeah.
By the way, nothing better, and this is really going to show my age, nothing better than a cup of coffee and a newspaper. Sit in the desert with my C letter mug. It doesn't get any better.
I picked this up.
C
I was
for
like, no
ceiling.
way. I
This
was like,
is
no
great.
way. They're
C for
ranking the
ceiling,
quarterbacks.
C for cam, the whole thing. It's all
It
coming
works.
together.
It works.
All right, highest floor
Yeah.
of these guys.
So I took this as like the person that is going to be like good. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like highest floor, meaning like, all right, he can be a good starter in the NFL. I got Shedeur Sanders. When you watch his game, you know what you're going to get. It might not have that elite talent, arm, angle stuff that I was talking about with Cam Ward, but you go through Shedeur's film, and I've watched like 12 games right now. I need to continue to watch more. I want to go back 2 years ago and watch it for our next shows, just to see how he was. But when you watch Shedeur, cool, calm, collected. Yeah, he takes a lot of sacks. Half of those are on the offensive line. Half of those are on him. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and I think that's what I like about him. He just throws on time and in rhythm. You can see him going up to the line of scrimmage. You can see him changing protections, changing plays. You know, half of his throws are at or behind the line of scrimmage. That's not his fault. And when you're doing it, remember when we talked to Sean Payton about Bo Nix? He said, hey, I had to take away 35% of his throws because we don't even evaluate that because you can get Joe Blow off the street to be able to do that. And I think that's sort of what the situation, and Dan Orlowski said it too, and I don't want to steal all his thunder, but that's sort of what I got too. It's like, you got to take away 45 to 50% of Shedeur's throws because you can't evaluate that. But the other 50%, 45%, you can, and he's shown that he can make every single throw, and you can see he's going to be a good starter, I think, in the NFL.
Here's my question for you then on him. Why is it so up and down and such a mixed bag? Like, why am I getting from some GMs he's a top dog? Some are saying that in last year's draft, he would even be a top 5.
Yeah, no, I think, and look, this is where Cam Ward too. Like you take Cam Ward and you take Shedeur Sanders. There are 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterbacks from last year.
Yep.
So just because there's not a ton of talent this year at the quarterback position and these quarterback prospects, right? This is just, by the time this draft ends, people are so tired of watching. There's like, all right, these are quarterbacks. We're going to reach out. Like, there's still going to be 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round, I think, at least.
Yeah.
At least. And you look at this as this draft class, and it's a poor draft class, but people reach on quarterbacks because they need quarterbacks and they think they can coach them and work it out.
Well, then give me your dark horse Pro Bowler. So who's the one that's going to come out here and be like, put a show on and shock us?
Yeah, I love Kyle McCord from Syracuse. I think that physically talented, he reminds me of Baker Mayfield. You look at him in the pocket, you look at what he's able to do with the football, the way he throws the football, not the strongest arm at time on film. Like, Baker's got a really strong arm, but his mannerisms in the pocket, how he hitches, it's almost like they train together. It's crazy. It looked like a carbon copy of him. Not probably physically as gifted running the football or throwing the football as Baker, but the mannerisms for sure. I like what he did. He threw for a ton of yards in Syracuse, watched 4 or 5 games of him. He's a really solid guy. Like, I think that this dude one day in a right system and a right fit, think Sean McVay offense. I think that a coach, after sitting for a year or two, if he were able to come in and play in a right system, the right coach, the right development program, he could be a dark horse Pro Bowler.
Well, you'll use Baker Mayfield as that example of the comp, and remember what Baker Mayfield was able to do in a Sean McVay offense, right? Remember that 1 year at the Rams? It was like, boop. All right, let's do biggest X factor, the guy who might get drafted way earlier than we think. So maybe this is the Michael Penix of this class.
Yeah, it's Jackson Dart. It's Jackson Dart for me for sure. This might be a hot take, but I don't. It's just how I feel. I think Jackson Dart is closer to QB2 than he is QB3. Like, when I watch the film and I watch probably his upside, it's really good. Physically, he is a freaking horse running the football. Like, he will run you over. I think that's something that needs to be talked about. He's much more athletically inclined to take off and to run than a lot of people. But you watch his throws, he's extremely accurate outside of the pocket. I think the one thing that is hard to evaluate with him is this Lane Kiffin offense. They run like 5 different concepts. So it's really not a pro style offense. They run 4 verticals. They run 4 verticals with a shallow cross. They run quick game and some others. It's just not. I don't know mentally, and this is why I'm not in these meetings. I don't know mentally how he is on the board, how he is in this. I think it's going to be good. But Jackson Dart, the more I watch him, the more I fall in love with him. And I think GMs sort of see the same thing. He's like, all right, like I can make this work in the right scheme, a right fit, a right system. I think he's a guy that doesn't need to play right away. I think all of them, other than Cam Moore, they need to sit a year. And I think it's in a right system, a right fit to not put the pressure on these guys. But if Jackson Dart were to play, man, I think he'd play well.
All right, you didn't double dip on any of these, so we'll see if you'll be able to go through all of this and come with an original thought. All right, so with that being said, I would have thought Jackson Dart would be the answer to this one. Your personal most intriguing quarterback of this class.
I've gone back and forth on this, but I've sort of settled on Jalen Milroe, like the Alabama guy, and watching him throw the ball at times can be it's a tough watch, and then other times when he sets his feet and he throws on time, and he throws in rhythm, and he 1, 2, 3 hits ball, the ball jumps off his hand, and he's accurate. Obviously, you know what you're going to get running, right? He almost ran, I think he ran like a 4.37 on official time at his pro day. So if you can sort of harness that up, and you can sort of have an offense built, think Lamar Jackson offense first, second year. Now, Lamar has turned into an unbelievable thrower of the football. Remember how many naysayers there were about Lamar throwing the football, this, that, and another? I think Jalen is definitely more raw than a lot of people think, but I think scouts and I think coaches and I think GMs and I think quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators, they see what he can be. I think he's going to go higher than a lot of people think.
Yeah. He did get invited, right?
That's a big deal to me.
See, I don't think so, because I think there's plenty of examples where players get invited. Like, I don't think that means anything. I don't think they know something. You think he gets invited because they think he's got a first-round grade?
Look, I don't know about that. I do know. I think he gets invited, and first of all, it's a big deal to get invited to the draft. I think they're only bringing 8 to 10 people. They're not going to have a guy that gets invited to the draft going in the 3rd round. To me, it's a first, second round. They've had enough probably coaches' feedback saying if this guy's around. I mean, you heard, the herd, Colin Cowherd, say the Steelers love Jalen Milroe. If he's there at pick 21, he's going to take. Like, I do think there's a lot of that out there. Now, if he goes or not, I don't know, but they're not going to invite him to the draft and embarrass him and make him go 3rd round.
Yeah, my question is Aaron Rodgers a Pittsburgh Steeler by draft night?
Is he?
The thing is, it's my job to know this stuff. Nobody knows what Aaron wants. I'm just telling you right now. Nobody knows. I mean, what then? What happens then? He doesn't. Let's just say for whatever reason.
It doesn't matter. I think if their quarterbacks there that they like, they take them. Aaron Rodgers is a 1-year rental.
All right, Chase, let's take a quick break. We've done tons of conversation here about Shedeur Sanders and Dion Sanders and the influence of his father. And it just made us think about our own parents in our lives. My parents were my heroes. I know your parents were your heroes. But something changes when you start getting older. When you become a parent yourself, you start looking at your own parents a little differently. We both have some crazy stories, and I'm sure you do too. So we'll take a quick break and we'll share those when we get back. All right, back here on Scoop City. If you guys are listeners and viewers of the show, you know that Chase and I spend a lot of time during our week counseling one another on how to get through it, right? We're both in different phases. Actually, we're kind of in the same phase, but different points with these kids, with their ages. But we help each other through. We hope that we help you get through. We hope that you are able to relate to some of the stories that we have. And I've been going through something recently that a lot of my friends have been experiencing. And a lot of this Dion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders stuff had made me think of it because, you see Dion protecting his son so much and he's just ride or die and wants the best for his son. And my parents were the same way when I was growing up. And now that I'm a mom, a wife, I have my own home, it's like my parents went backwards. It's like I have Mikey, Joey, Camille, and Ricky as children in my home. I think the problem is we view our parents through the same lens that we did as kids. Like, I still see my dad as this stud, like, guy in his late 30s running
Yeah.
around the baseball fields with me. My mom, beautiful with long black hair. Now my dad can't even walk from the car to the front door without being out of breath. And my mom cut her hair that she basically has no hair left anyways. So things have changed drastically
Yeah.
in our lives. But Chase, do you feel like you're at a point now where it's the time is starting to come here where you're not just responsible for the 3 kids at home and your wife, it's now your parents and your in-laws on your radar?
Yeah, a little bit. And look, my parents and my in-laws are both very self-sufficient. Like, my dad had me when he was 40, 78 right now. He doesn't look a day over 60. Like, works out every day, really good diet, follows, like, all this stuff. And same with my in-laws. Like, they play golf every single day. They're constantly active. And so for me, I think, like, with my own parents, I become a lot more, like, calm with them than I maybe have in the
Huh.
past, because it's almost like when you have your own kids, like, I remember when I was growing up, my dad and my mom, they, like, everything they said was like, "No, it's wrong." I was just like a teenager, like, "Oh," but I think there's a lot more, understanding. Like, hey, they were right. Like, they had really good life lessons that I maybe didn't take in there, that now I'm taking in now and helping, with my kids, because I think, we do a good job, Hillary and I do, of saying, "Hey, we're gonna parent, in a certain way, and it's a little bit of my parents, a little bit of her parents, a little bit of us," and it sort of molds, and it's just crazy how generations are molded. Because I remember my dad talking about his granddad. He was like, "He did this, and I'm never gonna do this when I raise you," and then my dad does this. I'm like, "I'm never gonna do that when I raise Preston," and Preston will do the same thing, and we try
Yep.
to just make our own version of parenting because it's one of those. But yeah, I think my parents too, like, they're empty nesters, right? And same with the in-laws, and like, the in-laws are a little bit younger, and they just enjoy, like, first of all, being the grandparent, and like, here's your kid back at the end of the day. Let me go play some golf. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
it's really cool to see their phase of life sort of change, because they gave up so much for us during that time, and now all of a sudden they're empty nesting, but then they want to be around the grandkids, but then they want to have. It's just a cool phase of
Yeah,
life.
they're in a tough spot. I've always said, not always said, I've just like learned this over the last few years that I think that 60s and 70s age is tough
Yeah.
because especially if they're still healthy, if you're fortunate enough where your parents are still healthy at those ages, they I can speak for my parents and my in-laws. They do not want to babysit all day. They don't want to be around kids all day long. They want to dip in and dip out. My mom wants to come by, take Mikey and Joey on the swing, and then she wants to get out of there. She doesn't even wanna
Yeah,
do anything else. Maybe do a bathtub,
that's funny.
if that. But I feel like there is a moment, and it's a sad one, when you realize your parents are old. You just do. And it's even, like, behavioral, like, the little things they do. Like, for example, my parents went to Florida over the weekend, and my dad's calling me to print out his boarding pass to drop it off at the house.
I love it.
Like,
I
I'm
love it.
not printing your boarding pass. And then to boot, I decided, because they help us so much with the kids, that I would upgrade them. My parents are 70 and 71. They have never flown first class. And they
Oh,
were only going
really?
from Newark to West Palm Beach. It wasn't like a long flight. But
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Let me upgrade them. My mom was texting me on the plane. They're giving me champagne. I think they think I'm the queen.
What are you
I'm
doing
like,
in the accent? Is she that bad of
because
an accent? I've
it's
never heard her talk.
horrible.
I've
It's
never heard her
I'll
talk.
bring her on the show for
Okay.
I'll have her say one thing on the show one day. You'll be like,
Pop
"Oh my
in.
goodness." And then once they landed, she called. She goes, she calls me. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Diana, they gave me lunch. We had lunch."
Yeah.
So in that moment, I realized A, she needs to get out more, but B, I'm so glad I upgraded her.
Yeah, that's really
But
nice.
finally, just yeah. Well, they're getting old. They should have. They're
Yeah.
just not like that. They don't
Live a
like
little.
anything. Correct. They are not flying first class on the way home, so I can't wait to hear the complaints. Because my dad texts me, he goes, "It's hard to go back now." I'm like, "Yeah, you're telling
Yes.
me, buddy. You're telling me." Um,
Translation, Diana, do it
yeah,
again.
Dad, give us surprise us again.
Yeah, yeah.
Let us.
That's funny.
And that's the best part about the first class ticket. The ticket I had for them that I booked them, that I printed, wasn't the first class. So I can only imagine the confusion. Like,
Oh,
if
they were
there are any
confused
people on
for
this planet
sure.
that deserve like a free lunch or dinner on me, it's the TSA people at Newark Airport. Those people having to deal with my parents My mom definitely did not take her shoes off. She was probably like, "Why are you touching me?" Like, just a mess. I'm telling you.
Your parents sound fun.
No, something's wrong with them. Like, I'm telling. So we have a sibling group chat, and it's just we are so hard on them because first of all, they should have a reality TV show because they do things that I can't even write in a script that would because it's just whatever the ridiculous option is, my parents choose it. It's like, yep, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, there's certainly been we have gone through this, and my husband and I talk about this all the time. We have to like take a deep breath sometimes and just go, our parents are old. Like it's old. Like we have to just come to that,
Yeah.
Reality.
I think that for me, like, my parents are old, but
I don't think your
there's
parents are there yet. I can feel it because I'm telling you,
they're
for
not
those
they're not
listening that
there
have those
yet.
parents, they do.
Yeah.
They're good. You'll know when they're there. Call
I
me
like
because you'll
I
be like,
haven't I haven't really felt that about my parents because they're in such good shape physically and mentally. I mean, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be like, we have 3 kids, right? We have 7, 5, and 3. It's a lot. I think when we had 3, we're like, we don't really feel like we feel as comfortable as we possibly can with them watching them overnight for a certain amount of time. If we go on vacation or something like that, we have a nanny now that does it. And then like even the in-laws, they're a little bit younger. They were able to watch them for the 8 days that we went for our 10-year anniversary to Italy this past season. Like they went to Gigi and Grampy camp in Kansas. We felt a little bit comfortable with that, but my parents they're not really there yet. Even though they're like 78 and 70 something, I don't feel it yet.
Kevin and I went to Charleston for 4 days. My in-laws were waiting by the door. Mikey and Joey were like
Oh,
strapped in their room. They were like, "We're done." I
yeah,
just think it's
yeah.
very difficult to be around toddlers when you are that much older because I don't think they remember. Because I don't
They
know if
don't
you're.
remember. They do
My
not.
in-laws say all the time, "I don't remember my sons being like that," because my husband and his brother are the same age differences as Mikey and
Yeah,
Joey. And
yeah.
my in-laws will be like, they didn't bite each other's noses off. They didn't
They
pretend that
forget
they were
about how
T-Rexes.
crazy it was because they put it out
Mhm.
of their mind because it's so crazy.
Correct. You
I put it
black
out of
out.
my
It's
mind. I don't even know what my
mm,
kids did last week because I'm
d
like, I don't even know.
same. The
Like,
fact
I don't
that
know.
nobody was injured over the weekend is a big win in our household, I can tell you that. Well, look, enjoy the next few days in the sun in the desert with your in-laws. Be good to them. I know you have some vacations planned for the next few weeks, so we're pumped.
Yes,
But you're still joining us, so this
I'm
is how
there.
hard of a worker you are.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't you
we'll
can't
be
you
in
can't leave
Hawaii
us.
next week, and I will be live. Maybe I'll go on the beach. We might have to film like 6 a.m. Hawaii time for you to do it,
Wow.
but we're gonna get it
By the way,
done. We're gonna have
I've
different
thought about that.
backdrops.
Being a sports fan in Hawaii, how weird must that
Yeah.
be?
West Coast time's the best, Pacific time's the best because your Monday night games start at 5:05. You're
Oh,
in
it's
bed
such a
by
treat.
8:30. Hawaii is 2 hours, I believe. So that means your primetime games start at 3:05, which is a little weird, but cool. You're asleep.
Yeah, I guess we won't be talking in the morning. Well, we could. It's like mid-afternoon for me, so uh
Yeah. 7 a.m. Hawaii time would be like noon your
yeah,
time,
that's
I
not
think.
bad. I just won't
Yeah.
call you early here because you'll be going to
No.
bed.
And I'll be
All right,
sleeping
that'll
in.
do it for us here at Scoop City, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And don't forget, make sure you subscribe over on our YouTube page. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you subscribe there, leave comments, tweet at us, whatever it is. Well, we'll communicate with you, hang out, and we're always trying to answer your questions. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.